Welcome back. Today we start with module 4 and we start with chapter number 15 where we'll be discussing common terms that are used as business communication terminologies, right? The very first of it is ad valorem. Now, what is the meaning of ad valorem? It basically means added value, right? Now, these terms are used in business transactions, probably when you're writing letter of business correspondence, or maybe when you're replying to these letters of business correspondence. So, these words are used there in such terminologies. Ad valorem, ad interim, which is temporary. Then, a word that most of you should be aware of is with regards to bear and bull. The bearish market or the bullish market, or this person is a bear or a bull when he is investing in securities. So what is a bear basically? In consideration to the fact that the prices may fall down. A bear is a person who sells off his securities well in advance, considering that the prices may fall down. Whereas a bull is a person who anticipates that there could be a rise of prices in the stock, and that's why on the stock exchange he will go and buy these shares in advance. So we can consider it as from the point of view of bear market and bull market. We also look at it from the point of view of caveat emptor and caveat buyer. What is caveat emptor? That is buyer beware. That is when, as a person, I am going and buying certain things, I should be aware of what are things being sold to me. Make sure that I ask the right kind of questions with regards to the warranty, guarantee, the terms of usage, the fragile makeover or no, right? Then we have the concept of caveat vendor. Caveat vendor means seller beware. The concept of seller beware is when you're selling your products, make sure that you as a seller give complete information to your seller, to your buyer, so that in case of any disturbances, in case of any disagreements later on, you can always quote that I had already told you that these are the terms and conditions of the overall sale proceedings. So we understand those terminologies. Then in generalized, we say that it's a laissez-faire policy. What is this laissez-faire? Basically, it's a free trade. That is where government doesn't interfere too much into considerations of the business transactions that are taking place into the export-import business. So the government has given a free hold over it. Concepts or words or terms like via media, that is through a particular medium. This is how it goes forward. Okay, then we have words like ultra vires, which means beyond powers, ultra vires responsibility. So beyond my powers, there are certain responsibilities that are given to me. Or there could be words like verbatim, that is word by word. If you're quoting somebody in the newspaper, normally the journalists make sure that they write the word verbatim, that word by word, this is what we have given the translation. So there are n number of certain such terminologies that are very common when we are talking of correspondence in business, when we are having dealings with client to client, customer to customers, that form certain terminologies. So few of them were mentioned here. With this, we end chapter 15 and let's go to the next chapter. Chapter 16, now we talk of certain abbreviations that are very common in business terminology or used in the business terminology. If you read the word AC, that means account. This is your account. If you read the word ADVT, dot, it means advertisements. Right? If you read the word AMT, it stands for amount. If you come across a terminology B/L, which stands for bill of lading, which is used when you are, in the import-export business. So, documents that's going to help you import your goods is bill of lading. Or while exporting your goods, you prepare a bill of lading. Then you have terminology like COD, that is cash on delivery. I'm sure all of you all will be aware of this particular terminology because we all are online e-commerce shoppers. So it's a very common terminology, COD. Then we have two terminologies with regards to email that we should be really aware of. That is BCC, blind carbon copy, and CC, that is carbon copy. Now, age-old ways, we used to have a black color paper or a blue color paper that would help us copy the matter on another page without you having to write it twice. Now, in the correspondence of email, when you are sending out emails, BCC and CC is used so that you can let the CC people know that these are the people the two people know that in CC, whoever we've put in CC are the people who are also aware of the conversation that's going on, or to keep you in loop of what's the latest transactions that are going on. Whereas blind carbon copy is where the sender to whom we are sending the email will not be aware of who are the other people who also receive the similar mail. So apparently BCC is used by large organizations when they want to send a mailer across number of employees in their organization, and they don't want that each of them should be aware about who is the person to receive such emails. So they put all the emails in blind carbon copy. It's also used by people in the sales department when they want to send out sales letter, they want to send out certain promotions. These flyers that we get across in terms of our mail that there is an opening with this particular institute, or there is this product that's on sale. So they put all the prospective customers in blind carbon copy so that in a way privacy is also maintained, and at the same point in time the other person doesn't know as to who is the person in loop with the same correspondence. Then there are terms where we also look forward to. There are also terms like FOB, that is free on board. Now what does free on board in general means? It means that once you are on board with us, whatever amenities or whatever facilities are there that are free for you, right? Then there is a letter IOU, capital letter I, O and U, which stands for I owe you, as in OWEYOU. I am owing you. So when you just write letter I owe you, and then probably it's an amount or what kind of considerations that I owe you is what is mentioned. And one common term that we all see, which is in a way a French Latin term and difficult to pronounce, but it's in a way reply if you please, which is RSVP. Normally when a host is sending across an invitation, whether it be some sort of meeting, it be some sort of ceremony, function, party, whatsoever it is, we all write RSVP, means reply if you please. The full form for RSVP is Responde s'il vous plaît. We all must have come across a very common terminology, RSVP. RSVP is basically written at the end of any invitation that the host sends out, whether it be with regards to some sort of meeting, with regards to some sort of party, function, get together, and they want a confirmation so that accordingly the reservations or arrangements for the guests can be made. So apparently it stands for Responde s'il vous plaît. That's how you pronounce it, Responde s'il vous plaît, which apparently translates to reply if you please. So RSVP also is one common abbreviation that comes in business transactions, that comes across in communications when you're corresponding in the business circles. With this, we end chapter 16 and we move forward to the next chapter. Alright, so moving on, we move to chapter 17, module 4, where we'll be understanding paragraph writing. Now, what basically is a paragraph? Paragraph is basically a series of sentences that are joined together to give us a logical sequence, to give us a coherent sequence. Now, when we read anything in newspapers or magazines, basically they can be defined as paragraphs. They give us an idea about what the topic is all about. So when we are drafting or when we are writing paragraphs, we need to consider three important parameters or three important concepts. The very first, the term that we need to be conscious or make sure that is in the right order is with regards to the unity. Now, unity in a paragraph writing is where you are making sure that the paragraph that you have written is revolving around a central theme. There is only one particular idea that's flowing through the use or through writing of your paragraph. So the overall way of conducting or drafting your paragraph needs to be united. The second component that we need to consider when we are writing a paragraph is with regards to the order. The order means you start with a sentence, the key sentence, which can also be known as a topical sentence, that gives the reader an idea as to what the furthermore paragraph is all about, right? So you start with a very strong key sentence, Then in the mid, you have your central idea, your central body perspective, and towards the end, you have a logical conclusion or a proper solution to whatever problem that have been discussed in the paragraph could be all about. And last component that we should remember when we are drafting a paragraph is with regards to the concept of variety. When you are drafting a paragraph, not all your sentences have to be of the same length. I mean, if a certain sentence could probably be heavy and could consume 2 lines of your writing, whereas the third line that follows could be a smaller line for you. So whenever you are drafting a paragraph, make sure that you are maintaining some sort of unity in terms of the concept as the theme idea, but variety in terms of the length. One sentence, heavier sentence, second sentence, not necessarily heavy as in a sentence. So make sure that you keep these 3 points in your mind. That is your concept of order. That is how to start, what should be in the middle and what should be in the end. With regards to your variety, how your sentences should be framed, and with regards to the concept or the central idea of what exactly you want to convey to your leaders who will be reading your paragraphs. Then let's move ahead and understand the 5 types of paragraphs that one can write from the point of view of either blogging or newspapers or magazines and make it interesting for user readers. So the first kind of paragraph that we can write or a blogger can write is with regards to the contrast and compare kind of a paragraph. So let's take an example. As a traveler, I love sea also, I like the beaches also, and I like mountains also. I like visiting valleys also. So from the blogger perspective, if I'm writing something for my audience to read, it could be a comparison between how lives are different or how traveling could be fun if you are a mountain loving person and how it could be when you are a beach loving person. So you're giving a contrast, you are comparing the 2 things, and then you're giving them possible options to explore to with regards to each of them. So the very first type is compare and contrast type. Then we move to the second, that is the informative kind of a paragraph, where you are basically reporting a certain incident on so and so date. So it starts with on so and so date, so and so time, something like this has taken place or has occurred in this particular neighborhood, in this particular scenario. Then you come down to the grim realities. Okay, it was observed or it was noticed or it was highlighted that there was a robbery, and in an attempt to the robbery, the robber had to stab the homemaker, and this is what it is. So towards the end, the police have got certain key essential proofs as evidence, and based on that, they will be nabbing the robber at the earliest. So that is your informative type of a paragraph. Then the third type is the descriptive type of a paragraph. Now what happens in a descriptive type of a paragraph? It's basically a person describing something related to him or her of a related past experience. So maybe it would be my childhood days, or my birthday party, my 5th birthday party, my old school, my native place. So starting with I had been associated, or my school is located in so and so place, and going down the memory lane, I saw all of these things, describing the place, where the window was, where your classroom was, how your playground was, the canteen facility that you had, what were the specialities that you would get in your canteen. So that would be with regards to your descriptive type of paragraph writing. Then we move forward to the 4th type, that is the narrative type. Now, how different is descriptive from narrative? Descriptive could probably mean that you are putting all your energy into describing a particular situation and exaggerating on one particular central theme line. Whereas with narrative type, it is more as per the usage of I. I had spent my weekend at my in-laws' place or at my grandparents' place, where grandfather had cooked a special meal for us. grandmom had, made lovely desserts. The whole day was spent looking at old photographs, or we watched a certain old movie and we rejoiced over the time spent. I also spent some time in the room that I used to when I was a kid. So that's where you are putting yourself in the first person perspective and describing the whole thing. So that's where you are narrating. It's an anecdote basically. You're putting across your view. And the last type is an argumentative type of a paragraph. Now, what do we understand by argumentative type? So basically, it starts with a statement that this particular thing is wrong, and why it's wrong. There are reasons that you consider it to be wrong. Okay, or maybe gender. There exists no gender equality in the current situation. Why it doesn't exist? So you put forward your points that the men get this, versus the female do not get this, and you end your paragraph from the point of view of the fact that there ain't any gender equality. It's just a farce. This is just a way to put up a certain thing, but at the end, the reality is that there ain't any equality between the male and the female. So we understood 5 types, right? All 5 types follow the 3 components that we had understood. The unity, that is the central concept, the central theme, in an orderly fashion. It starts from the introduction, the key sentence, comes down to the mid aspect, the body, where you're explaining everything in detail, and then the last ending sentence, which gives a logical conclusion to whatever kind of paragraph you have written. With this, we move to understanding the interpretation of line or bar diagrams and how do we draft a paragraph with regards to the same. In addition to understanding how do we write paragraphs, from the point of view of research, or probably from the point of view of putting statistical data into newspapers, magazines, journals, or probably blogging perspective, how do we interpret this technical data? So when you see a certain box with numbers in it, and probably the profit percentage, or probably when you see the amount of sales in the last 5 years has grown down to, how do we interpret such data when a diagram in the form of pie chart, in the form of line diagram, in the form of bar diagram, or in form of tabular format is given to us? So basically, you start by formulating or giving some brief about the history or the background of it. That this particular table speaks about the profit sales ratio that has been observed in the last 10 years, or maybe in comparison to the considering today's situation of COVID. So the profit sales ratio pre and post COVID situations where the business has suffered. We can see from the diagram that in the year so and so, a particular rise of growth rate is being observed, or we can see that this particular year the sales has gone down, and the reasons for the sales to go down. Now that particular reason may not have been listed in the diagram, but because you are drafting a paragraph with pre-existing knowledge of what this graph means, you are able to furnish that data, that it is observed that the sales for this particular year were low because of the fact that there was a strike in the organization which was resolved over a period of 6 months, after which the sales saw moving, and that's why towards the end quarter of that particular year, we can see that the sales again has kind of grown up. So that is how to interpret the technical data and convert it into sentences that are logical, that make sense to any layman and can comprehend as to what basically these data or these pictures or these images wanting to speak to the audience would be. With this, we finish the chapter 70 and we move forward to the next chapter.